Hello and welcome to Exotic Gardening and happy Easter. The weather has been glorious for the last week. We've had really summer-like days, easily over 20 degrees on several days, nice warm evenings as well, and it really has felt like summer even though it is just April. And it's meant everything's had a good boost of energy and things are really starting to move now. So we've got the Fatsias that are opening up, the new flush of leaves, first of the season. Schefflers that are starting to move as well. The Musabaju, especially in the front garden, have opened their first full leaves of the season, and all the little perennials are pushing through the ground like the Persicaria as well. And the actual palms, the new spears that are starting to open on many palms. But we have got to be careful because we have still got frosts in the forecast. It is only April, we can get frost well into May from time to time. And in fact, I think this week we'll see a frost at least one night where we might get down to 0. So the tree ferns as well, they're starting to unfurl their leaves. I will keep the straw on those and put a bit of fleece over where they might get damaged by a late frost. And also on the Scheffler as well, I don't want the new leaves to be damaged, especially on the Scheffler macrophylla. So that will be covered with a bit of fleece just to protect those newly emerging leaves. Once they've fully come out and hardened off, they're fine, they won't be damaged by little frosts. But when they're first coming out, they do easily get damaged. All the seeds that we planted over the last few weeks, they're starting to come out now. So the Cleome, they're doing okay. We've also got the zinnias just popping their little heads above the surface of the soil that we sowed last week. And we've got the cup and saucer vines that have already had 3 or 4 weeks since they germinated. And now they need their own bigger pots, so we'll be doing that this week. Right, it's time to do some gardening. So down here, these are all the Aeoniums that stayed out over winter, and you can see they're quite red now because I've had a few frosts and they're just about clinging on to life, so just show that they can survive if you're close to a house wall and protected by other plants and it's a mild winter. Whereas all this lot around here, these have all been planted out just yesterday. I've got various types, not looking at the best because I spent all winter just clinging on for life in the greenhouse, but now they're planted out. Give it a few weeks, these will plump up, make a really good display in the front garden. This is Euphorbia mellifera, meaning honey smelling or honey like, and it's really coming into its own now we're into April. This shrub grows about just over 2 meters, 2.5 meters tall and wide. And it's a good shape because it keeps all these nice heads of foliage, fresh rosettes of foliage all over and around this plant. And at this time of year, it's flowering. And if we just smell that, it really, really just smells like honey, it's beautiful. And this self-seeds pretty well. So around the garden I have about half a dozen seedlings that have popped up over the last year or so, and I'm finally going to get around to potting them up, and then I will be giving them away later on in the year. Fabulous, pretty hardy shrub, evergreen as well, so it looks good all year round, but as we come into spring and summer it looks better than ever. Time to pot on some of the seedlings that we've grown over the last few weeks. So in this tray here we've got the Euphorbia labata, so the nice Spanish flag climbers, and they'll grow up to about 2 meters or so and have the nice racemes, the flowers going from red, yellow and white. So they're really sort of striking flowers that will mingle and climb through lots of other plants in the garden. And just over here we have the cup and saucer vines. So these grow many meters tall and by late summer will be covered in sort of purpley lilac flowers that look like a cup sitting on a saucer. So these are easy to take out. They're in individual modules. I can just pop them out and put them into their own individual little containers like this. Whereas with the seed tray here we've got lots and lots of plants growing close together, and the roots will be intermingled somewhat. So I'm going to have to be careful to tease these out one by one and then transplant them into individual pots. And there's probably about 30 plants there, and there's about 24 of the cup and saucer vines, so better get started. I should say the mix I'm using is in here, and we've got about 50-50 John Innes number 2 potting compost with 50% multi-purpose compost, and then just a handful of perlite just to open it up a bit. So that'll give it enough nutrients for the next month or so while these seedlings establish in these larger pots before finally planting out sort of the end of May. So that's the cup and saucer vines all potted up. Now on to the Spanish flag. Now with the Spanish flag, I've got to be more careful when separating these because they've not been grown in individual pots, they've been grown in this seed tray that I've just ripped apart. And I'm going to put them into individual little pots now to give them more space to establish. I'm just going to carefully get a clump here, break that off, and then to see how they've grown I'm going to carefully separate them. Might lose a couple, but we should get a few individual plants. Yeah, they've come away nice and easy. So we've now, just in this small handful, we've got about 5 or 6 plants, each with their own roots on, and we can just get a little pot like this, hold it by the leaf ideally, put it in there, and then put some more compost around that, give that a shake, press that down a little bit, give that water, and that can go back in the greenhouse. Thanks for watching this edition of Exotic Gardening UK Yorkshire Kris Weekly. Join me next week where I'll be doing more in the garden.